Kia ora and welcome to episode 11 of our New Zealand Hemp Industries Association's webinar series running throughout July 2020. Today, with pleasure on behalf of the New Zealand Hemp Industries Association executives to welcome to the panel Dr. Nick Marsh from Next Corporation and Kirsty Harkness from Vin Hemp. Today's sort of conclusion episode is all about our scenarios and visions to develop the industrial hemp industry and a call to action. So we're really looking forward to this based on all of the things that we've seen over the whole of July's previous 10 episodes have led to this particular episode. And we're now going to see it all come together and what the industry actually represents and how it could be developed further for New Zealand and us entering the global market. So really excited to welcome both Nick and Kirsty, and we're going to get Nick to take us through this journey. Over to you, Nick.
Thanks, Richard, and thanks for setting this up. And I think it's a very notable day because essentially what we're doing after a series of your webinars is looking at where's the future lie for the hemp industry of New Zealand. And so I'm simply an industry analyst. I look across different industries, and over the years I've worked in kiwi fruit and wine and forestry. I'm just thinking of all the other ones, even meat and things like this. So essentially my job was to look at the hemp industry as a whole, as an investment proposition, both for New Zealand, for all of us Kiwis, but also for the companies involved. So Kirsty?
Hi guys, so we've got a vineyard that I co-own and manage in Blenheim called Mount Base Vineyards. We grow 800,000 bottles of premium Sauvignon Blanc each year for Villa Maria, Babbage and Matua. I also have Vin Hemp, which as Richard said, I'm representing today, which is my research company that Callaghan are generously helping me co-fund to do research of growing hemp in the vineyards. And I also have Harkness, which is hemp oil skin cosmetic brands. So yeah, awesome to be here. Thanks.
What we've been doing over the last 18 months is a piece of research. We've looked around the world. I've been to America and looked at some of the hemp industry over there. And really the upshot of this is a report which we are ready to publish, which essentially the heading is, the title is New Zealand's Hemp Export-Driven Industry, 2 billion per annum and 20,000 regional jobs by 2030, just needs the nod. There's a couple of interesting things in that title, which is really 2 billion, really, by 2030? And the other one is what does just needs the nod mean? So that's really the focus of today. We're going to put up two scenarios for you. A very ambitious and it is the 2 billion scenario and a lesser scenario, both of which are good. So that's what we want to flesh out and take you into New Zealand in the world market for hemp products, as distinct from just focusing on the local market. So if we can just go to the first slide. Yeah, this really is the context. So we need to place hemp within the New Zealand food and beverage sector, this is a MP report. Essentially, it's actually a combined revenue of 71 billion. This is in last year. And 46% of it is export. And this is really important because any industry to be very significant in terms of entering and joining that club of all those big players in that club, you have to start with thinking export rather than just start with domestic and hoping one day you'll export. And that's really where the hemp industry is at the moment. So essentially, the interesting thing about New Zealand is that wine, honey, aquaculture, avocados have all emerged from almost nothing into world-leading sectors. And so what we're saying is, yes, we've got a very ambitious scenario, but actually others have done it already. And so it's not impossible. And we have a lot of assets in this country to show that we could actually do this. So that's really the setting, that we're joining this club of winners who really are the basis of our economy and our survival as a country. So just a quick one here. Interesting about hemp, I only discovered industrial hemp probably in 2016 when by chance at a conference I found myself sitting next to Dave Jordan, who in fact was the founder of Hemp Farm New Zealand. And he introduced me to what this hemp was as opposed to marijuana. and how to think it through. Here's an interesting thing. The hemp industry was gigantic until last century, when it was suddenly made illegal in a lot of countries. But to show how gigantic it was, this is the $10 note in 1914, American currency, and you can see it's all about the hemp industry. And in fact, the note was made out of hemp. On the right-hand side, just a little bit of a whimsy, really, in terms of the local industry. We actually had cannabis medicines being sold in Australia under the brand of Mother Mary O'Bear, who was a Catholic missionary, who basically was an expert in natural health medicine using cannabis. So it's interesting. There's a lot of history here. We're really coming back to where we were in the first place for many centuries around the world. Next one. So just in terms of where we're at today, the top 6 hemp growing countries, that is in quantum terms, actually China never did make growing hemp illegal. Canada was one that came into play in about 15 or so years ago and has grown considerably. France never had it illegal, just kept going. In fact, Italy was the same. USA has come right up the rankings since the Farm Bill of 2018. Chile is in there. Funnily enough, North Korea is number 6. And North Korea is there for the simple reason it's the basis of their textile industry, their clothing industry. So you can see the dark green is in fact pretty widespread growing of hemp. Next one. So this one just really summarizes, this is 2020. This is the hemp market. This is really for the mainstream hemp products like fiber and seeds and things. So this was looking at a 5.7 billion. This is US, which is more like about 8 or 9 billion for us. But the growth rate is the interesting thing for the investor, 20% compound average growth rate. Now that actually takes you up to somewhere around about the 90 billions by the end of this decade. That's what a growth rate like that does. So this is really a very interesting, fast growth industry worldwide. Next one. So Kirsty, I'd like to ask you to talk to this one in terms of how you got interested in hemp.
Yeah, sure. So with our vineyard, we've got 260 kilometres of mid-row space, which I see as a huge amount of real estate. It's used for driving tractors on. Of course, the history has been that vineyards have sprayed chemicals under the vines to kill the weeds in the past. So when I was looking at it, I looked at something that would restore the land, restore a biodiversity culture as opposed to a monoculture in our vineyard, but also give me an option for a second income. So at the moment, we've had 2 years now of trial because we were concerned that there was a potentially the terpenes from the grapes might influence the flavour of the wine. We're pleased to say that so far we haven't seen that. If anything, the winemakers are saying that it's a better wine, and we've definitely seen increased health in the vines. The PTL tests we've done of the vines, there's no nutrient deficiency in those areas, and the ground has had increased organic matter, increased cation exchange, and increased carbon sequestration. I can never get that word right. So all in all, it's very good. Now, I come from nursing originally, so my whole aspect of the way I view my business is it's about the health of the land and the health of us as people, as human beings. So that was really where it started. So my license at the moment is to sell hemp seed, and I'll talk later on, but we're making cosmetics out of hemp seed oil now because I'm allergic to all chemicals. I just see so much benefit obviously in the vineyard, but also so much potential of where else we can go with this product.
Okay, so let me go to the next slide and just give you a insight into the US market. I would say the US market is really driving the fundamental revolution in both in connection with the consumer, but also in attracting very significant investment capital. And this all emanates back to primarily really back to the Farm Bill that was passed that allowed for hemp to be grown legally and to the whole hemp plant to be processed into different products. Now, when you look at the slide here, what you see is about a 1.6 billion industry today, but it's dominated by CBD sales, which is the cannabidiol. I always struggle with that damn word. Anyway, CBD, 1.2 billion. 76%. Then you've got seed and oil sales, 12%, and 12% fiber. So we're going to go into CBD and what's going on in that market. And obviously, it should be said straight away, CBD is illegal in New Zealand. We can't do anything with it at all. But that's kind of the domination of the market. And the growth rates are projected to be quite impressive over the next 10 years in the US market. Europe has a similar situation, although probably is being more inspired by the US market. The next one. So one of the key things when you look at any industry and analysts around the food industry and the medicine industry, they talk about the growth space being between food and medicine. So obviously we have a medicine, we have a cannabis, a medicine licensing scheme here, around 20 companies that are growing cannabis slash marijuana with high THC there in their crops for medicines, for prescription medicines. At the other end, in the dark green there, the left-hand side, we've got foods with strong health-related links. Then we go to functional foods, where there's some substance in the food which actually adds a benefit. And then nutraceuticals is really the growth space, where there is very definitely evidence-based research to support the benefit for various things in the human body, actually not just the human body, but in animals. And that really is a space between medicine. It's not medicine, but it still does need some evidence base, and it's not just food. So hemp seed oil is probably in that space. CBD tincture oils and skin balms would be in that space, whereas raw hulled hemp seeds would be in the food space. So that's really the space where you're going to see the growth over the next 10 years. Next one. So yeah, so I've already mentioned CBD, and we'll explain what it is only legal as part of prescription medicine in New Zealand. And so what we've done at the moment so far is we've cut ourselves out of the biggest hemp product market in the world. Just let that resonate round your thoughts. We've cut ourselves out of the biggest product market in the world. Do we really want to do that? Next. So what we've come up with in our research is really to say that there are two scenarios. And scenario one is that the nutraceutical illegality regulation, as in terms of CBD in particular, would be removed, which actually would not be that hard. And that gives you potentially a 1.5 billion market for nutraceuticals. And then you've got your seed and fiber market of another 500 million by 2030. Scenario two is that we don't reform the current regulations, but we still have a vibrant seed and fiber market of the 500 million with around, say, 8,000 new jobs versus 20,000 new jobs in scenario one. So we've kind of simplified the whole thing and said, often this happens with food, it certainly happened with alcohol, that there is a particular point where the regulations need to change to allow the industry to flourish. And if they don't change, it stays in a backwater and you end up simply importing products from other countries where they have changed it. So if we go to the next one, I guess really I'd like to bring Kirsty in here as well, because Kirsty has grown up as an entrepreneur in the wine industry. And what we're really looking at here is hemp, imagining hemp taking its place with perhaps the top two horticultural export industry success stories, which is kiwi fruit, zespri, and wine. And it has to be said that both of them had a rocky road to get going. And then in the last 20 years, they've absolutely blossomed. and are the envy of the world. The little country that actually dominates in the world of New World wines in the supermarkets of England, and dominates in the world of, say, gold kiwi fruit in supermarkets around the world. So Kirsty, tell us what you think about the similarity and differences between the potential for hemp and wine.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. I just see it as such an exciting space. With the wine, around 40 years ago, you weren't able to purchase wine and food together. And it took the New Zealand wine industry, so NZ Wine has been running as a union body for, I believe, more than 35 years now. And they got regulations changed with the government. The big one was being able to sell alcohol in supermarkets as well, and having the bars being allowed to be open after 6 p.m. Our industry back then was, I believe, 40 million. Now, of course, we're over 2 billion as an industry, with $1 billion export this year. So it's an exciting space to be in. We're, as you know, bringing in a lot of money to this country, which is great for the economy. With the wine industry as well, I believe it's too small an industry for us to be in competition with each other. If it wasn't for the fact that the wine companies all support each other and get together and face the world as a united front, they've got a lot of strength in that rather than inner fighting. The government helped back when they had a oversupply of grapes, and they paid out subsidies to farmers to pull their grapes out. At the time, they had a different variety, Muller Thurgold, which was dominating Marlborough. And so the farmers took that opportunity to pull that out and put the Sauvignon Blanc in. And it took a few farmers, like the Ernie Hunters, to go up to London and win awards and get our Sauvignon Blanc known and recognised on the world stage. Now, you know, the wine industry as it stands today, and it's a beautiful beast and is continuing to grow. We currently have the issue of there's only a limited amount now of Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc. We're #1 in the world. And we have, when I say we, obviously we stand on the shoulders of giants, and those people who have gone before us have done an incredible job to build this industry. And I suppose I see the hemp industry now as where the wine was 30 years ago. So it's exciting. We've got, I know that the government needs to change regulations for us to really be able to take the bull by the horns, but I believe that they will work with us to do that, because the economy is a wonderful outlook, but also which is what they look at. But it's New Zealanders and the world are waking up to the fact that we've used so much chemical in our food and on our bodies. We have used too much plastic, and people are going back to organic and natural and raw products, and that's the way that everyone is now swinging, and the hemp fits into that beautifully.
Yeah, so just to add to that, I mean, I remember being involved in some wine, basically the top 8 industry leaders of the wine industry back in 2000, and doing some forward strategy. And what was interesting was Sauv Blanc was the king. We've got a great hit, but what those leaders said, it's no good us just depending on continuing to do the same thing. We actually have to plan innovation ahead. And so the innovation in wine is really around a number of things, the environmental standards they did, but also around the different varieties. So basically, what do we do after Sauv Blanc? You know, we have Chardonnay, okay, that's fine, but what do we do next? The next biggie, and so they decided, well, let's look at Pinot Noir. Could we do Pinot Noir in New Zealand? We had no background in that. And then it went to what could we do after that? It would be Pinot Gris and the varietals, and so on. So in other words, I think the hemp industry will also need to sort of look ahead and not just be stuck in kind of, we've got one thing we're selling, and we don't sort of look ahead in terms of where the markets goes, and where to, a lot of these things that we make in New Zealand, that we grow here, people in the supermarkets around the world, they want to know what's next as well, you know, and therefore I think innovation is the absolute DNA of the hemp industry and the other ones. So just moving along to this slide. So essentially, not everybody realizes how extensive the hemp products are that are based on hemp seeds. that can be crushed into hemp seed oil or protein powder. So for example, here's a few products, hemp seeds, raw hemp seeds. I personally have them every day. They're fantastic. They are packed with omegas and obviously very high quality protein, etc. The hemp oils there, which can be in different products, in capsules and bottles. Hemp powder for beverages. A hemp cuisine, the Nadia Lims and the celebrity chefs have picked up on the hemp seeds in particular as a key part of new cuisine. Hemp edibles, hemp snacks. There's a lady in the South Island, M's Snack Bars, who's a mad keen cyclist and one of these people that is right up there in extreme sports, and her snack bars are all over New Zealand. Then there's balms, cosmetics, and topicals, and hemp milk is starting to enter along the line of all the other milks in the supermarket. And just on the right-hand side are some of the characters. Dave Jordan, an absolute pioneer from 2016. Andrew Bell in Rotorua. So Dave is in Tauriko or Tauranga, basically. You've got a couple of guys there down in Wellington. Matt, you've got a couple in Hawke's Bay. You've got Joe and Lisa, I think, are not quite sure. Maybe they're in Christchurch, not quite sure. And obviously, Kirsty, you've met. Now, that's just a selection of the various people who are entrepreneurs through and through and have made this industry create a platform for growth. So, next one up. Yeah, it's important to think about even just what we've got with hemp seed oils and things. There's three interesting consumer segments out there. So if you actually look at the, for example, the customer comments about on let's say, well, actually on Hemp Farm, the only ones I've seen. Why are they buying hemp seed oil capsules? And the vast majority of them are buying them straight out for joint pain relief, arthritis pain, and general joint inflammation, and reporting terrific results. Now, you have to be careful because that's in terms of the laws about making health claims. When you read what people say and the word of mouth, it's pretty sensational that particularly GLA, which is a key component in the hemp seed, is magic for that purpose. But that's completely different than the healthy food segment. The plant food people, the people who are shifting out of dairy and meat into plant food diets, veganism, etc. And then over on the left-hand side, you've got the wellness segment, which is really it's really people who are devoted to having a healthy lifestyle through various means, fitness, diet, etc. And that's really just below there. Oh, what's in there is a new cosmetic that's just about coming on the market there, Kirsty.
Yeah, well, what got me into this, Nick, with the cosmetic side is, like I mentioned earlier, I get allergic to anything that's chemical. So I started using hemp seed oil on my skin. It's got a 0 pore clog rating, which means it won't give you pimples and it doesn't stay greasy. It really is a beautiful product. But if you know hemp oil, even when you take it, they say put it in the fridge. It's because once it's exposed to sunlight, it does oxidize really quickly. So what we've done with our oil is we've blended it with some other beautiful essential oils, which are all active ingredients like grapeseed oil, since we've got grapes as well, some rosehip, ylang-ylang, grapefruit peel. So just some really beautiful ingredients which mean that it holds a good shelf life. And I've been using that for over a year now. Gabrielle Zander, who's my business partner in this, she comes from a background of blending essential oils. And so we've been pottering away using that, and we've had such demand from our friends and family and wider community asking if they can get hold of it too. So yeah, we're launching in October, which will be quite exciting. The hemp seed oil is obviously our main component, and there are a lot of oils on the market at the moment, but not like this with hemp seed oils. So, and of course with cosmetics, this is just the beginning, because we've got a range of 15 products planned. The balms, like you spoke to, I'm using all these products already because she's already made them all for me, but we're going to make them for the wider market. So balms, toners, the whole range. But where we see that going is having CBD as a component in there, because it's a beautiful active ingredient for the skin, and we're just not allowed that as yet, but of course we're waiting for that space to open up. And just talking to your slide, the healthy food segment, obviously hemp seed oil, like you've stated already, is just so good for you. Got lots of omegas. It's good for people who are maybe vegetarians or vegans. It's got as much protein as red meat in it. We met with a lady the other day who is doing hemp seed milkshakes in the schools, so that the kids who are coming in that aren't getting as much nutrition or protein as they could be at home just because of costs of things at the moment. We're going to see more and more poverty, as you know, post-coronavirus in New Zealand, and we just need to look after our own. So they're feeding these milkshakes to the kids. It's quite exciting. Actually, the school's got a project with beehives and a banana plantation of all things. So they're able to blend those three things. Richard, who you met earlier, is generously donating seed to them. And those kids will have a healthy, nourishing snack in the morning with that. So, and I think you'll see lots more things like that pop up, because it's such an easy food to produce. The hemp seed will grow within 3 to 4 months. It takes a third of the percent of water that a cotton takes when you talk about moving into clothing, which is obviously off this slide, but there's just so much potential with this product. So yeah, exciting space.
Thank you. So next slide. So there is a lot of bubbling up of innovation going on amongst the entrepreneurs out there in New Zealand. So there are, I know of 2 of the companies that are starting up exporting of premium seed oils. Now, you know, I sort of think that again, play back the blazing success of Cloudy Bay and Sauvignon, and then the basket of Sauv Blancs. Imagine that we break into the global sort of discerning cuisine consumer market, the Waitrose type supermarket customer in England, which is the upmarket, the Whole Foods supermarkets in America. So I don't think that premium seed oils have broken through yet, because they haven't really been the main focus of the Americans. Their focus has been CBD. So that actually gives an opportunity for right top end and into the China, joining the Food Basket initiative, the Fernmark initiative, where a whole lot of upmarket food and beverage companies out of New Zealand are marketing into Alibaba, which is the main sort of online food marketplace in China. So you kind of see opportunities all over the place. CBD, yes, we can't do that, but in actual fact, the next thing, there's 120 cannabinoids, at least 120 in the plant. Well, the next one that's attracting a lot of attention is CBG, which is not ruled out by our regulations, and there's another string of them. There's just research coming in like crazy in terms of finding evidence of the benefits to the human body of different cannabinoids, and that will continue onwards, as distinct from the people over in the medical companies dreaming up pharmaceutical medicines. So just a couple of other ones there. Hemp seed hulls extraction. Some people are talking about that. You have to basically hull the seeds and then sell them. But the hulls, the thing that the seed is wrapped inside, actually, there apparently are quite a few interesting molecular compounds there that again would be legal for us to turn into products. So lots of opportunity, particularly for those who really understand the idea of sort of understanding the global consumers, the global consumer trends, and coming back and saying, what can we make that satisfies and touches those needs. Next one is, well, this is really, we've already mentioned this, but just throw back to Kirsty this question. I believe your research study has probably completed its first year of a 3-year study, and there's some interesting sort of positive indications. But let's say cycle 2 more years, and it turns out that growing hemp in a vineyard is in fact highly beneficial to the wine, to the environment, and to the back pocket, shall we say.
Mm.
Now, interesting enough, there's 39,000, I believe, hectares of vineyards in New Zealand. You think 39 hectares of vineyards, if it was a real winner, real mutual beneficial thing, what could that actually do for to the hemp industry?
So we're actually 2 years in. The very first year we did more of a trial around the wine to ensure that there wasn't taint. So the second year, which was last year, we went full into testing of the grapes, testing of the vines, testing of the soils. It's a very comprehensive research paper, and we've been putting abstracts out on the VinHemp Facebook page, but of course we want to publish in American journals next year, so we've been having to hold back on the full report. But basically I can tell you already, it's already a positive. The vineyard has benefited from it, from the increase in soil health, the increase in the biodiversity of the insects. As I say, the winemakers are saying that there's a healthier yeast environment on the bunches, which is beneficial. At this stage, the license, as you know, is to take the seed off the top, and then the idea is to mulch the rest of the biomass of the hemp plant under the vines, so that we can move completely away from any weed sprays, because the hemp works as a weed mat, and the weeds we found last year didn't grow through it, which was awesome. So from a health of the vineyard point of view, it's already a benefit. Of course, it's with the vineyards, we have a high value crop already. So the taking of the seed, as much as it is, if you grow you want to do it, it's a very small economic offering for our back pocket at this stage. But we believe that once nutraceuticals is more open and we're able to take goodness from the plant, and we're not just talking the CBD, the cannabinoids, the full spectrum, shall we say, on cannabinoids. CBD, as you know, is just one cannabinoid within the hemp plant. There's up to 130 other good components there. You've got the leaf, which I've been talking to Food Safe about whether we can do microgreens. It's a very healthy product for you to eat. And you've got, we're just looking at the juices of the plant at the moment too, and seeing how they can be beneficial in the, I don't want to say the food sector, but certainly in the cosmetic sector. And I've also been researching with the terpenes in our gin. We've been making, playing with terpene flavoured hemp gins. Not sure what I can say about that one just yet, but we'll, at this stage, it's hemp seed is what's legal to take from the plant. So yes, there's the 36,000 hectares, as you say, in New Zealand. There's 26,000 hectares in Marlborough alone. So to answer your question in brief, yes, it's already beneficial for the vineyard, but from an economic standpoint, we will need to be allowed to take more from the plant. And secondly, currently they have so much regulation around it that you're not allowed to have it anywhere that's visible from a road. It's not allowed within 5 kilometres of a school or a township. And the person who owns the land or is the key holder cannot have any background, any police problems whatsoever. So there's lots of regulations at the moment around a plant, which is not harmful at all, but the more you find out about hemp, the more you realise that it's criminal, it was outlawed, and it's a miracle plant. So I'm really sold on it. I'm not into the other side, the marijuana side at all, but from a nursing point of view, the hemp is a wonderful plant.
Thanks, Kirsty. So we need to just move to a completely different part of the hemp growth proposition, which is hemp fibre growth. And I guess the key thing here is, in a world of climate change, which cycles straight back to reducing the amount of fossil fuel based materials, i.e., particularly plastics, out of our life and out of our industries. There's a number of companies that have been knocking on the door of hemp companies, asking the question of how could we substitute hemp fibre from as a sustainable material from the non-sustainable raw materials we're using at the moment. So, for example, here the top two pictures there, the carbon fibre, which is the basis of these extraordinary boats which we're about to see racing in the America's Cup. So what about the hemp fiber potential in as a substitute there? Completely different industry, road building. Road building uses a lot of non-sustainable raw materials. Hemp fiber actually can drastically increase the durability of roads, and that's also being looked at. Then you come down to supermarkets and big box retailers, packaging. We've already seen the revolution of the shift away from plastic packaging, but the potential for hemp fiber to become part of the packaging formula comes in, obviously, building, hempcrete. Interesting enough, hempcrete up there at the top right. Interesting enough, the supercapacitor area is very, very important with the rise of electric vehicles needing batteries. And it turns out that hemp fiber can play a role in substituting for non-sustainable components of lithium batteries. And the lady on the right-hand side actually is wearing a workout outfit in the gym. And in America, there's some brands now that are putting CBD into the line, well, into the construction of the workout shirt and pants, which actually relieves any inflammation or aching in the muscles from the workout, which is sort of pretty bizarre, but it's in the market already. So lots of potential for fiber. Big problem is very small size of our market and big cost of the investment. But we do have one decortication plant via Hemp New Zealand being opened up hopefully in Christchurch by the end of this year, which will be the first major plant investment that's been made to anchor our fiber industry. Next one. So let's look at this scenario one, which is if we did have regulatory change. And I'd like to sort of say, I'd like to speak from personal experience of my experience in the American market. Now, CBD is, if you want to know what does it do, why is it so special, et cetera, well, fantastic data here. 18% of Americans over the age of 18, adults, have consumed CBD products within the last 18 months, according to a pretty reliable survey that's been published last month. Now that's 40 million people, 40 million. And I think it's 70% of those have said they liked what they got out of it, and they will continue to purchase products with CBD in them. Now, why are they using CBD? And this pie chart there is fascinating. It turns out only 9% are using it for medical reasons. 41% are using it for pain relief, inflammation relief, usually as an ointment of some sort, topical, whatever. Then you've kind of got unwinding. What's unwinding mean? 33%. It's actually like chilling, as we used to say, chilling out, end of the day. Relaxing, letting go of the stress of the day, reducing anxiety, those kind of things, which are very much the sort of product of modern day stressful living, is perfect for a dose of CBD in a product. And then 18% general wellness, as part of your wellness and fitness, etc. So the product range is enormous. So it can be oil-based capsules, it can be drinks, it can be pet products, gummies. They're very popular in America, which are these strange little gummy bears in a bottle. So there's a whole range of options of where CBD becomes part of the product. So if you go to the next one.
Can I just make a comment there, Nick?
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
While you've been chatting away, people have been asking questions which I'm answering. So if people have got more questions, keep them coming.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm just sort of pushing it on so we don't run out of time. So if you go to Hawaii and go to the main street behind Waikiki Beach, the main drag where all the big hotels are, you will see a very flash retail outlet called Hemp Tree. And Hemptree opened up last year, and it has a selection of hemp products, most of which, in fact, all of which are manufactured in Hawaii. Now, here's an interesting thing. Hawaii does not successfully grown hemp yet. So these are from small plantations. These are small craft products. The biggest company is one called Mana, and these are essential oils. So if you look at one of the top ones there, it's hemp oil. It's got CBD. It's got turmeric and vanilla in it, plantain and comfrey, different herbs and things with CBD as part of it. But I think the most interesting thing about Hemptree, if you look at it, the byline, because life is better with less stress. I think that is an absolutely massive proposition that sits right underneath all of the whole CBD enthusiasm in America. Life is better with less stress. How do I get less stress? And this product is taken off in popularity because people think it gives me less stress, and they know when they try it, it does do that. So that's why it's not just fashion. The stuff works. So just going on to the way it spreads, this totally blew me away. I filled up with gas out in the back blocks of Hawaii. Hawaii, by the way, is not a state that's one of the, it's not one that's there's no legalization of marijuana. There's no great advance in the cannabis world. But look at this, you fill up with petrol and it says, right, as you come inside and pay for your petrol, every gas station in Hawaii, actually, I can buy CBD products at the gas station. So imagine Z Energy with a range of these products sitting by the cash out. I mean, that's what they've achieved there. And of course, what happens is you can't not have heard of CBD products because everybody fills up with gas. Same in the supermarkets. And I think this is a very interesting thing they've done. Here's an example. This is by the checkout in the biggest supermarket in Hawaii. Here are edibles, CBD, bits and bobs, gummies, etc. So kind of imagine you launch a new product and instantly it's actually available, as they say with Coke, at an arm's length to try it and buy it and try it. And that's why it's taken off so strongly in that market. Next one. So this is really important. So the big problem with it is, what about safety? What about what's in it? Is there anything that can do me harm? What about heavy metals? What about pesticides? What is in it? What other cannabinoids are in it? So essentially, this is probably one of the major consumer product companies, Global Widget, it's called, in Tampa, Florida. And this is what, when you buy the product, you can press on 4 different test results of that batch of the product and see the certificate from the testing company of what's in it. And that's really quite interesting in terms of that consumer confidence of safety and quality and reliability. And interestingly enough, the two people who started this company off only two years ago actually came from the motor car industry, and they copied all of the quality control and traceability and testing procedures from the motor car industry and simply adapted them into the nutraceutical industry. So it's quite fascinating. So we'll just keep on going. Here's beverages. Interesting enough, CBD, the biggest segment for CBD in the States is bottled water. You think, really? Bottled water? And you look at the pride upmarket packaging there of the Sweet Reason brand, and then the cans down here, Mellow Mood cans. And you sort of realize that this is very much a sort of added value, high-end, probably high-priced product, where obviously you've got to look closely at the dosage, what's actually in it. Next one. So yeah, here's actually a local. This is a terpene flavored gin, actually I think made in Melbourne, as I recall, the Canna Company, which actually you can buy in, I think this was bought in Hamilton in a liquor store. But the one on the right-hand side really got me thinking. CBD Sauvignon Blanc, non-alcoholic Sauvignon Blanc with CBD. This is a company in California, wine industry called Rebel Coast. Now, I don't know much about it, but that sort of sets a little bit of a thought in terms of a possible sort of future, possibly fusion between the wine industry and the hemp industry. Next one.
You've got Constellation, Nick, that have already spent $1 billion in this space, but you can't mix anything with wine and still call it wine. And also you can't mix the cannabinoids with alcohol because it enhances their effect. So that's why they've gone for the non-alcoholic. So sorry to interrupt. I know we're in a hurry now.
No, good. So Rebel Coast, watch that space. And this one, I'm really blown away by this. This is the term they use in America for pet owner is a pet parent, because the younger generation, particularly the millennials couples, see the dog actually as a baby, as a child. And so the pickup for CBD pet products has been enormous. I think you see there, CBD pet products in 2019, $321 million US dollar spend, increase of 1,000% on 2018. Now this is pretty extraordinary growth. And why are they buying it? Because they're out at work all day, the young couple, and they come home and they don't want the dog to go ballistic and frantic. So it's calming the dog, and they don't want the dog barking and whining and bugging the neighbors all day because they're not there. And so there's a whole sort of anxiety reduction treatment of the dog. And you can see 89% are dog owners that are buying this stuff. So that's just started.
Just to comment on that one too, Nick. In New Zealand, you're not even allowed to feed the pets hemp seed at this stage, which we're obviously working on at the moment. But this is cannabinoid, this is next step. But even if we can get the pets to be eating the proteins of the hemp seed, will be a wonderful start as well. Yeah. Sorry.
No, I noticed that. I noticed that's exactly what's happening with a lot of the pet owners who are more elderly, not so much the millennials here, who use hemp seed and hemp seed oil for their own aches and pains. Actually have aging dogs, and they're feeding it to the dogs, and the dogs are very happy too. So it's kind of so that's an interesting thing. So we're coming to the end, but I guess the end is so this is all very good news and exciting, but hang on, what about COVID? Are we just dreaming that we could have an industry take off at a time of a global economic crisis? Well, I just love this slide. This is the Australian share history from 1900 to 2020, and it actually has Vietnam War, the regional Spanish flu crisis, the 1929 crash, the recession, the GFC, etc. And the COVID is the latest little blip. And the obvious thing it says is growth just keeps on going, and there is recovery. And I sort of feel that's probably the way this is going to play out, this COVID thing, that we think, we've turned into this incredible crisis and you can't do anything and the world economy is in a mess. Actually, it will recover. So what should we be doing for New Zealand's interest? Essentially, you must remember that we wouldn't have any hemp if it wasn't for the political vision and decision-making of a previous Prime Minister, Helen Clark, in 2006, when presented with the argument that we should be allowed to grow hemp, at least for research purposes initially. And she basically, I believe, I'm told, personally really drove cabinet saying, we're going to do this. Let these people with the hemp interest, let's see what they can do, I think was the comment she made. But unfortunately, it was tied into the Misuse of Drugs Act, and that's caused quite a problem because it gets all tied up and confused with medicines and narcotic drugs and things. So what we need to do is to essentially avoid the fact that we will get flooded with CBD products coming into the country, and we're not allowed to make them here. And Australians will probably be making CBD products under 60 milligrams legal in pharmacies within early next year. So we could be left looking pretty stupid if we don't get our hands around this. And so the final slide is just really saying that yes, we've got a medicinal cannabis industry which will have most of those medicines, I believe, will tend to have CBD and THC as part of the formulation for various diseases like MS and things like that. But essentially, let's get together and see how we can work with the Australians and follow the Australians. They've looked at CBD as being quite safe and non-psychoactive. Really, surely we can make a bit of a shift in our situation where we have really said that CBD is basically a narcotic, really, equivalent. And it's just not very sensible. So the next Prime Minister, whoever that person might be, and Cabinet could quite simply instruct the bureaucrats to tidy up the regulations for the sake of the nation's economy, just as in 2006 they said, just get it done. So that's our report to you.
That's amazing. Thank you very much to Dr. Nick Marsh and Kirsty Harkness for taking us on that journey. I think everybody, especially those that have been watching the whole series of webinars, would see so much of previous discussions coming together in that presentation, guys. So really well done to move us forward. And of course, I guess the call to action then is some of these decisions are political decisions. So our MPs need to be made aware, so we can encourage our people that are interested in the industry to get a meeting with your local MP and let them know, because if they don't know, they just won't acknowledge it. So it's really early days in a sense as well. So that's one call to action. Do you guys have any others that we could be considering?
I really think it's important for all of us, including myself. I mean, I have our local member of parliament has a very large majority, but you know, this is the time to talk to that member of parliament and just make sure they understand what this whole hemp story is all about, because still I would say the vast majority of New Zealanders, including MPs, do not really understand the hemp story at all, and certainly don't understand that there's anything that needs to be done. So I don't know what you think, Kirsty.
Yeah, I'm sorry, just answering questions still. Yeah, see, because obviously with the wine space, the hemp, we've already got really good government support with Callaghan helping us in that space. They say it's the only government-funded research project of its kind in the world that they could find, and so that's a fabulous start. The MPs and politicians I've spoken to are usually behind what we're trying to do here, what we're trying to achieve. Lots of it I find is ignorance. A few years ago I knew nothing about hemp, and now I'm doing my own research, so that's why I keep encouraging others to find out for themselves too, because it is a very exciting space. And obviously with the cosmetics side, it's almost like a soft space between, so I'm going to do some work on pushing that, because I think we might get advancement on that side quicker and easier, I'm not sure, but I just take my hat off to all the innovators out there, all the entrepreneurs, all the people like yourselves who are putting their time and effort into advancing this industry. It's awesome. It's a good bunch of people.
Very, very, very true. Yes, and it's been like that, you know, because of, again, it's you know, the inherent qualities of industrial hemp and hemp and cannabis are often aligned to people's visions for a sustainable future. And now we talk in terms of regeneration as well. So I'm pleased that you've got that theme was involved in the presentation around the phytoremediation aspects of growing industrial hemp, just because it's good for the soil or biodiversity that it attracts, all those sort of things, plus the possibility of an economic potential as well. So there's a wide range of reasons why a farmer or somebody involved in that primary industry might like to consider hemp, as you've described, Kirsty, in your, the connection with vineyards. And this speaks to other connections that we have with our other primary industry partners, our fibre with New Zealand wool, with the textile, with the fibre and things from the trees, working with when we do finally get across the issue about using hemp as animal food for production animals, it will go into all sorts of things, all the way through to the the Fonterras, and working with all our our other primary partners. So just as you pointed out, everybody, a very exciting time. And the whole plant utilisation was a great example as well. So I'm glad that got a nod, because the economics really do benefit if we have access to the whole plant. And that, as you pointed out, will come from that regulatory change. The husks discussion as being the byproduct of the dehulling, that was really interesting. That played back into the food discussion we had with Nigel and Sam on Tuesday's episode, actually. So that was really good to see all these themes coming back together. And I should also acknowledge that the report that Dr. Nick Marsh has been working on has been funded by AgMart, which was a really positive thing for AgMart to be involved with. And this is sort of the soft launch. So this will be appearing in the press, and we will be giving it a bit more of a promotion in the weeks to come as we start printing off some of the versions of it. And of course, trying to raise awareness within these MPs and other business leaders who can put it into their business plans and see how industrial hemp might fit into their value chains. So very exciting, and it'd be great to have it all documented in one place. So we're really looking forward to promoting Dr. Nick Marsh's report, and you guys will be the first to know all about it. So just to acknowledge that's underway. Now, guys, before we finish off, because we'll be coming up to the hour, is there any other things that you'd like to say?
Yeah, I'd just like to just put in another thing. I think that we need to realize that this is a regional, these industries, like kiwi fruit and so on, they're regional. And that's where the job creation can come, not just in the cities. And all of the companies that probably there's about 8 or 9 key hemp producing and hemp product companies, they're all over the country, right from Southland right up to Northland, actually. The Waikato, the Taranaki, Wairarapa, and those companies are the basis of creating jobs as they grow. And the other thing to realize is there's about 150 or 120 or whatever farmers out there who have tried hemp as a potential addition to their portfolio of crops. And so those farmers also are looking at widening, their own business model using hemp. So, and those farmers are all over the country too. And the other thing not to forget is that most people don't realize that around them are probably some medicinal marijuana plantations run by the medicinal companies. So in other words, we don't really realize what's around us, because obviously there's a lot of security, as Kirsty mentioned, around hemp growing and things. But it may even be that there's jobs around us that have been created from both by the medicinal side or the hemp side already, that in actual fact are intensely valuable to our economy and to our regional challenge of how to replace a lot of the revenues from international tourists.
Nicely done, Nick, and that's got to be music to especially the government's ears. I mean, if they're interested in regional development, job creation, training and opportunities in that regard, the investor community has something that they can put their money into, all with export potential that will help us to achieve some of the government goals in that space, coupled with maybe even helping with climate change and some of the Paris Accords. I mean, it really does tick all the boxes. So if we can get that information in the right format to the right people, then we may find those champions within government, because they're not there. Nick, you mentioned Helen Clark, but there was others as well, for DeBuncle, Annette King. These people, Rod Donald, they really made a difference. They were the politicians that were willing to sort of make a stand and make things happen. And so we're really looking forward to having some of those people back in 2020. So looking forward to seeing who the next team is. Kirsty, some words of encouragement or some considerations for those intrepid people getting involved in the industry?
Yeah, I'd just say I'm getting inquiries every day internationally now. So people are watching us. People know New Zealand are innovators. And I just say, keep on testing the boundaries, keep on coming up with new ideas, and we'll just keep on helping each other, share the information. Don't try and hold anything to yourself, it's better that we all learn this together and we all advance each other. So good work.
Great stuff. Thank you, Kirsty. And that collaboration, a big part of what we could all be doing together. And everything's up for review. All the business arrangements, how we do business, who we do business with, you know, how we share the outcomes of that business. Everybody has to get a rethink now. And post, what is the new normal? Well, let's rethink all these great things. And I think it's a really good observation that you've made, Kirsty, because you know we sometimes look at the worldwide industry and think of how quickly America is going forward, or you know a country in Europe is very progressive in some regards. It won't take us long to catch up. We've got this thing, Kiwi ingenuity, number 8 fencing wire, that sort of thing. So we've got a great can-do attitude, but even more important, we've got a massive ecosystem that's really supportive. And we've got some talented people that are really engaged. And you're right, Kirsty, I'm getting inquiries and many other hemp companies that I speak to are just, you know, flabbergasted around, you know, how interested people are in the food industry or the textile industry or the construction industry about these sort of products. So when that translates to actual action, then we'll be really moving forward. And that's what we're trying to achieve with this webinar series, is trying to encourage business leaders to have a light bulb moment and say, okay, this is how I can work industrial hemp seed, natural fibre or health and wellness properties into my business plan. And then we can all scale together, and that's great for opportunities on and off the farm. And back to Nick's observation, these things happen in the region. So there's going to be a lot of great stuff going on, and people just becoming, you know, by just being interested in the industry, they're going to start focus on their own development and realize that they've become scientists, or, you know, bug people, or they've developed a new breed, or, you know, all of these opportunities are out there. And it's great to see that it can all be based on some really sound business principles that are sustainable, if not regenerative. I just did notice we've just got a couple of chats, so I just want to open those up to see that we've got some good feedback, actually. Thank you for the attendees saying our best wishes. Thank you for that, Amy, and Nigel, and so there's sort of congratulations on a webinar series well done, and that comes back to the quality of the people that we've had attend to watch, but also to present, and they've really shared so much. I think when we look back, we've created quite a body of work for people to see, okay, in 2020 we were at this point, and from that line in the sand we can really move forward, because now, having seen this presentation today, we're aware of some of the things that have got to happen, and we even know some of the people that are going to make it happen, the government people, for example, and that's going to be driven by consumer pressure. So to make it a political issue needs consumers, and because this product works, the consumers are out there. So we've just got to back our own industry and support our own industry and the developments of potential products and things coming out of New Zealand. Very exciting times. So one final wrap up, guys, because I've just said a few things that might have prompted, I need to say this. So there's one final opportunity if anybody wants to come forward.
Well, I'd like to say that I was in the gym this morning before this, and a lady came up to me and said, do you know anything about hemp? Because I've been reading about it, and she's quite senior in the racing industry, the horse racing industry. And fascinatingly, she started to read about the benefits of cannabinoids for horses. There's obviously a hemp fiber issue with things. And she said, oh my God, this is an incredible area that we in the horse racing industry need to get our heads around the benefit that links across here. And I thought, well, wow, you know, horse racing actually, and there actually happens to be a certain minister of horse racing who might be interested.
Yes, indeed.
And also, this is the wine that the winemakers made from the area where we had the hemp 2 years ago. So if you want to, it's obviously not our wine, it's one of the companies we grow for. But if you want to buy yourself a bottle of that from any supermarket, I'd imagine, or Glengarry's, and see what you think. I don't think that you will think it's negatively affected, shall we say.
Will it chill me down? Will it chill me down?
All right. Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it.
You.
Cheers.
Thank you, everybody. Oh, and I should also say, now that we've concluding our webinar series, this will now be used in some form to promote our Summit and Expo in May 2021 in Rotorua. So we look forward to welcoming you in person, and we can try some of these wonderful products at the Expo and have some hemp-infused foods available for the conference. And that'll run over 2 days with the public day on the Saturday. So lots of information can be shared, and we look forward to seeing you all there. And thank you very much for your time, and we all hope that you've enjoyed this webinar series throughout July 2020. Thank you.